Hello everyone, this is Dominika and welcome to our new episode of the Expat Career and Lifestyle podcast. And today I have with me a very special guest, Nyna Caputi. She's the founder of the Expat Woman Club and also the founder of Survive and Thrive Abroad Summit. So probably you have already heard about her in our community. She is also a film director and she's involved in many fantastic projects. One of them is the Virtual Bootcamp Academy. And today with Nyna, we are going to speak about how to organize your virtual events and do not get overwhelmed with all the steps. So welcome Nyna. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Dominika. That was a great introduction. And as I mentioned to you before we went live, I've done many podcast interviews, but this is the first interview on hosting virtual events, which is my passion. I'm referred to fondly by my network as the event queen because I host so many events. So I'm excited to talk to you about how I host virtual events, about the Expat Woman. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, so I was thinking about you as the queen of the virtual events. It's the right title.
Thank you.
Great, fantastic. So first of all, tell us a little bit more about you and how your international journey started, because right now you are living in California, in the US. So tell us, how did you end up in California?
Sure. So it's a great question. I am what people would call an accidental expat. I'm originally from India, and I came to the U.S. I came to New York to study film, and I met my husband, who is a San Franciscan original. So there are very few people who are born in San Francisco, California. Most people come to San Francisco from other places. But how we met is another story in itself. But we met, and he's American, but he's a second generation Swiss, French, Italian. But he's more American, I would say, than expat because two generations. So he doesn't really have that. The doesn't, I would say, even though he's an amazing partner, like he doesn't understand the challenges that expats face because his parents too were born in the US. If you
Mm.
get what I'm saying. But anyway, that's how I landed up here in California. And did I answer your question? Sorry. Did you ask me anything else, or just how did I become an expat? Right. So I
Yeah,
didn't.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, how you.
I didn't plan to live in the U.S. But when you fall in love and you get, it all happens so quickly. I was actually came to the U.S. with just 2 suitcases of clothes to do, when I was in New York as a student. And so when I came to California, I just still had those 2 suitcases of clothes. And so I was not prepared to set up life here. And that's why it was so hard for me, because when you don't plan to move to a country and at all, I mean, it was great. I love my husband. I was so happy that I found the right person, but I was not prepared for all the challenges that come with being an expat. I've not even said bye to my country or my parents, in a way you would do if you leave a country to move to another country.
So, what was your biggest challenge and how did you overcome it?
So I think the biggest challenge was not having any friends or network. And I think that's an issue a lot of expats have. And, I try to make friends, and, the US is amazing, but and again, I can't speak all for all countries, but India, when someone is new to the country or the city or even the town, people go out. India is a very hospitable country. People are very friendly, very welcoming. So I was used to that culture when, someone's new, you invite them over for a meal, you take them around, and that didn't happen. Now, while I was in New York studying film, I was in a dorm, with other international women. So we were all new. So we would do things together. We would go, visit different tourist spots. We would navigate the city, how to use a subway, how to use a coin operated washing machine in the dorm, all those things. But because I came when in San Francisco, my life really started as a wife, as a married woman. We stayed in San Francisco in what's called the Haight-Ashbury district, the Coal Valley. It's very residential. So it was really, suddenly I was by myself. My husband works in film, so he was gone for most of the time. And, most of his friends were filmmakers. They were mostly American. So it was really hard for me to meet new people, especially international people. And, so I think the loneliness and not having a support group were the biggest challenge for me. And of course, being away from my family and my country.
So that's why you have created the Expat Woman Club. This was
Absolutely. So the Expat Woman Club is actually part of the Expat Woman platform. So it's the paid membership site, which I'm so happy to have you as a member, and that's how we first connected. So yes, I did start the Expat Woman because of the need. I felt like I had no network when I came here, and I moved to the US in 2002. So at that time, like now, okay, now it's a pandemic, so it's a different story. But when I came to San Francisco, it was beautiful. It wasn't very crowded, but there was not too much happening. It was after a few years that the tech boom happened and everyone moved to the city, and there were events every day. So it was really hard for me to meet other people, and especially other immigrants, because I looked online. Are there any like meetup? There was no meetup, I think. Any groups of people? Is there even online resources for expats? Even things like, since you run a career, your podcast about careers and starting business, even how to find a job as an expat, how to dress for an interview, or even what present do you take for a baby shower in the US. Every country has their own culture and their own way of doing things, and there was nothing out there. And because I didn't have any friends, there was no one to ask, like, hey, I've been invited for this baby shower, what should I wear, what's appropriate, what kind of presents do you give, what's the price range, or I'm applying for a job, what should I put on my resume? Because in India, our resumes were fairly long, and we would put a photograph. Sometimes you even put your age and your marital status, and in the US you don't need to put all that. So I wanted to create not just a network for expats, but also a resource site, so that they wouldn't face the hurdles that I faced, that I had to learn the hard way. And I wanted to provide information for people. And initially, my focus was just on the US because I lived there and I would be able to provide that support. But then what happened was I realized I was not able to connect with my target audience, and I'm a very social person. So I decided to start hosting events so I could meet with people in person and build that network, and also give other women and other expats an opportunity to connect with each other, because it's hard to connect online. And again, in those days, it wasn't like what it is today, where you have so many different apps. Now you even have Clubhouse, where you can create rooms and connect with other people in a club, or in a room, sorry. There weren't those opportunities. So I was creating in-person opportunities. And then of course, the Expat Woman Club is the paid membership site for the expat woman. It's more like a core group, so people can get those additional resources and additional connections, because the Expat Woman Network is over 13,000 people. The Expat Woman Club is smaller and more intimate. And that's, as I said, that's how I met you. And I've seen lots of amazing connections happen through the club.
Wonderful. So now you are organizing many digital or virtual events for your audience. So if you can tell us like 3 or 5 main steps, what are like the steps to organize or to start organizing your virtual event? So I don't know, topic, or how to promote, how to find the guests for your event. So what are those main steps?
Sure. So first of all, I think as expat, it's a great opportunity to create an online presence and to build your network. I don't have a background in event planning or event hosting. I actually have a background in biotechnology and then film. But I think anyone can create an event, a virtual event or an in-person event. But I think there are a couple of things you have to keep in mind. First of all, you have to be really passionate about the topic or the event you're creating. If you're just creating an event because someone else is doing something, you say, they're doing it, so I want to copy them. It's not going to work. You have to be passionate about what you do. Secondly, I've seen people create events and they put it online, and they just expect people to just sign up for the event without any promotion or marketing. So I think you really need to understand who your ideal customer audience or ideal customer avatar is, and you need to nurture them even before you start hosting events. So maybe if your skills are in writing blog posts, or your skills are maybe in doing YouTube videos, anything where you're sharing content relevant to what your event will be about. Because even if you do a social event, even if you say, let's do like a happy hour online or networking, there's so many events happening right now. People are not going to sign up unless you're a big influencer, or you're bringing on someone really famous to your event. So I would say, find out who your ideal target audience is, nurture them, find out where they are interacting. Is it on LinkedIn? Is it on Instagram? Is it on Facebook? Start promoting to them, but start connecting with them even before you create the event. And then I think also, event goals, like what's the purpose of hosting your event? Is it, is it because you have an offer, you want to sell something at the end? Or maybe if you're a job seeker, or you're a manager and you want to get to the next level, you start hosting events for your company, or even your own private events where you're sharing your expertise, or you're bringing on experts. So you're creating an online presence, you're building your brand. Because you could write blog posts, you could do YouTube videos, you could do podcasts. But with events, you can see the person, you can connect online, you can have breakout rooms. So you're not only building an online presence, but you're also creating the know, like, and trust factor. Because people see you online, they feel like really, they feel that they've made a connection with you, especially if, as I said, you're authentic and you're creating events that you're very passionate about. Then people will be inspired by what you share and want to come back. So I'd say those are the three some of the three main tips and mistakes that I see people doing. Because many people just create an event, it sits on the event page, and then no one shows up.
Yeah, so promotion, and building relationship before starting your event. This
Right.
is very important. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and understanding the purpose. So, for example, because I have organized two virtual summits, and I know that there is a lot of work involved in organizing your first event, even.
Right.
So, like many online business owners, or like many expats women with portable businesses or online businesses, they want to host their event, but they are scared because of the work involved.
Right, right.
So how to, like, based on your experience, is it possible to organize an event without being like overwhelmed or burnout?
That's a great question, Dominica. So I would say, when you're just starting off, don't do summits. They are, even I did, I usually do 1 day events, or conferences, but they are very intensive, I agree. So I would say, start by doing really short events. And most of my events have been 60 minutes to 120 minutes. So you can do very powerful 60-minute events, which do not take too much of time. As I said, once you've nurtured your target audience and you have your event goals set up, it's easy to create the topic, the title, the content, and just host 60 to 90 to 120-minute events. You can have some content in the event where you speak, or you bring on speakers, and then you can have maybe networking, or you can just have a speaker, or you speak and then Q&A. So they can, and those do not take too much time. And if you're the speaker, it's even easier. So the time really goes, maybe some amount of marketing, but again, if you have your target audience and you've nurtured them, then it's easy to market to them. They want to hear you speak. And you just have to create the event on an event platform, promote the event platform, promote the event page, and people will sign up. Once you've done that, and I say, be consistent, do it every month, do it every quarter, maybe do it even every week. If it's easy to host, you can do it every week, and people will start looking forward to it. And then once you've got confident with hosting these short events, then try doing a 1 day virtual summit, which will require more time. But a virtual summit, especially if you're building your email list, or you have an offer that you want to promote, then I'd say do a free 1 day virtual event to start off with. Maybe do one virtual event a year to start with, after you've done a bunch of short events. And give for a short event, I'd say maybe 3 to 4 weeks when you're starting off. Because I've done so many events, I would say 1 month. to create it and promote it. And I have a big mailing list. But otherwise, I'd say 3 to 4 weeks. But if you're doing a virtual summit, then you need at least 60 to 90 days. So that should be a long-term strategy. And you should do that once you know what content, what topics, what your audience wants, and also what value you can provide them. Then you can do the larger virtual summit.
Yeah, I like this idea with starting with short events, like 1 hour or 1 day. So you are like building your muscle for organizing events. One
Right,
step, yeah, one step at a time. Yeah.
right.
So you said that one of the mistakes that you see that people who are organizing events are making is like not promoting them. So, what are the best ways, in your experience, to promote or to market your virtual event?
Sure. So I see them promoting, but it seems very salesy. They just said,
Mm-hmm.
they don't really build the audience. They just start selling, selling, selling. So I see it, I really think of virtual, it's like a funnel. So even before you promote your virtual event, the virtual events is the second part in promoting your brand or your business or yourself online. Again, as I said, you first need to identify your target audience. You need to nurture them. You need to share value and content to them before you bring them into the virtual event. So they're already interested in what you do, and then the next step is to bring them to your virtual event so they get to see you online. They get to interact with other people in your network and community who've also attended the event. So that's what I would say you do. So because very often people just, as I said, they create an event on the event page. They might promote the event, but they haven't yet built their target audience. They haven't even got people excited about what they do. So people are less likely to show up for the event, especially when there's so many, virtual happenings. I'm calling them happenings because you have, your kids are doing class online, your parent teacher meetings online, your for many of us expats, our parents are in another country. So we're doing, family birthday celebrations, weddings, holiday celebrations online. So you're competing with all that. And of course, then there are all the events. So you have to get your audience excited. You have to build them and bring them into that funnel, which is the second. Then they come to your virtual events and you build that trust and credibility, maybe do a few more, and then you make your offer, your upsell, and then they buy from you. Or if you're building your email list, and they keep coming back, they'll tell their friends about it, and then your email list gets larger. And then of course you can also charge for your event, so they pay for the event. So then the event is the product. You're monetizing your event, and that's how you're making your money. But you have to be very strategic, and again, don't just let your events just sit on an event page and just promote the event. Build your audience, get excitement, get them excited before you even create your event. And you can also ask them, like, hey, what kind of events are you interested in doing? Because not everyone wants to host virtual events. It is time, and there is a certain amount of expertise required. So even start asking your audience, I want to host events, what would you like to attend? What kind of topics are you interested in?
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's once again like building this rapport with your audience, creating this
Right, right,
yeah,
right.
excitement, yeah, and sharing. So, like, what was your biggest mistake when it comes to organizing virtual events?
That's a great question, and I'm trying to think about what are some mistakes I've made. I think I made, these mistakes myself, because one thing I think, because before it went virtual, the good things that worked in my favor were because San Francisco was such a hotbed of activity. People would come to my events, or most of my events were sold out. And even though I charged for the tickets, people would still pay because everyone wanted to be in San Francisco. Everyone wanted to meet with my speakers. One of the things I didn't do, and this is where the imposter syndrome comes in, is
Mm-hmm.
like I did not speak at my events except one
Mm-hmm.
conference that I did. I would always bring on speakers, and I know one of your questions is about not wanting to be on camera, not
Yeah.
wanting to be,
Mm-hmm.
it was So in this last year, so that was a mistake I made, not building my own personal brand. And I think that's really important as an event host, that you need to first build your personal brand, because people will buy if they like you. So if you're offering products or services, which is part of your event strategy, then they need to see you, they need to hear from you, they need to start liking you. So that was a mistake I made. I mean, I've been hosting events since 2014, but I was always in the background. I was bringing other speakers. So I was really promoting other speakers.
Mm.
In the last year, because of the pandemic, it forced me to rethink how I was doing my business and how I was presenting myself online. So my focus has been on building my personal brand. And that's how the whole Digital Event Academy, my online course to teach entrepreneurs and coaches how to host virtual events, came about, because I realized I do have a zone of genius. I do have expertise, and my expertise is hosting events. So I'm now going to, what I'd say, step into the spotlight. I'm going to stand out by sharing my expertise. So I think it's very important for all event hosts not to make the mistake I made, and from the beginning promote yourself. Don't, and I kept saying, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds, only then I'll go on camera. I put on so much weight since this pandemic hit, and there's never a right time. And if you provide content and value, people don't care how, I mean, again, you don't look disheveled, and make sure your background looks neat. But other than that, it doesn't matter. You're fat or you're old. I shouldn't say fat, it's the politically not correct.
Mhm.
If you're overweight, or you just feel your hair doesn't look so nice, or you wear, like I wear glasses now and the light reflects, but it doesn't matter. If you're providing content, you're excited, you want to help people. So I'd say make sure your own you create your personal brand while promoting your events, or even when you have your own business. Get Put yourself out there and don't be afraid.
Hmm. Fantastic. Yeah. So when it comes to showing on the camera, so it is one of my questions, because when I first created my own first summit, I did an audio, only audio version, because I didn't want to be on the camera. And then also I met some other colleagues, and they are scared of showing themselves on the camera, like interviewing people. So I
Right.
overcame this, let's say this fear of showing on the camera. So like, what is your advice? You are also a filmmaker, so, what is your advice, like, to show up on the camera, like, don't be scared, like.
Right. I said I too had a problem. Mine was more, yes, even though I do so many events and I've made a documentary film, I've given many interviews for my film, and I've spoken, when I was screening my film, I would have to go on stage and speak about my film. And then I wasn't really nervous because I was so passionate about the film I made. So it was very easy for me to talk about it. So I think that is what we need to focus on, is doing an event or choosing a topic when you're speaking that you're really passionate about. Because if you're really excited about it, if and it could be, it doesn't have to be like a professional topic. Maybe you're an expat mom who potty trained her baby in a year. You could talk about, if you be on an expat mom event, or you could host your own events on how to help your kids with potty. I'm just giving potty training, that's okay, but you know what I mean. If you're excited about something, if you're well versed in the topic and you're passionate about it, and you think, what does my audience want, why are they coming here today? They're coming here because they have a problem or a challenge, and they're looking for a solution. So I'm going to provide them with that solution. So when you take the focus away from you and you put it on your target audience, it will take away some of that fear, because you're if you're thinking about, oh, they're going to judge me, they're going to, I don't look so good on camera. Maybe you have an accent, you're in a country where the people have a different accent from you. Don't focus on those things. Just think about, I'm going to provide value. I want to really help my audience. I really want them to leave this event feeling very excited. You will lose some of that fear, and just believe in yourself. And I say keep smiling. I find when I'm nervous and I smile, and and I think also positive affirmations, like talking to yourself, like, I can do this, I am amazing, people will love what I say. And even if no one shows up to my event, I still went ahead and created the event. I had the confidence to put myself out there. So I think constantly praising yourself, which is really important when we suffer from the imposter syndrome. If no one else is doing it for us, we need to do it for ourselves, is so important, because we all are all amazing. We all have these gifts that we can share. So we need to, praise ourselves constantly if we're suffering from this, and just tell yourself, doesn't matter what people say, doesn't matter what people think. Maybe there'll be haters out there, but it doesn't matter, because I believe in myself and I want to share my expertise or my knowledge with the world. I think that will really help people get over that and just do it. It was hard for me initially, and I'm sure, Dominica, you must have, if you did an audio summit, I'm sure you had similar issues to me. So, I think they're constantly getting out there and doing it. After a while, it won't feel so scary. And now I can even look at myself on video. For the longest time, I couldn't even bear to look at myself or listen to myself. Like, oh no, I don't want to see myself. So it's just practice too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's all about practice, and also, as you said, shifting the focus, focusing on your audience, and being on your passions, and also being of service to your community. So this
Right,
can
right, right.
definitely help. Fantastic, Naina. So thank you very much for being with us today and sharing your expertise with us. So tell us, what are your plans for the future, and also how we can connect with you, how people can connect with you, and how can people find you?
Thank you, Dominica. This was a great interview. I so enjoyed being on your podcast. So because as I said, my passion is events, and I always would get questions from people about how do we host virtual events? What do we do? I launched an online course called the Digital Event Academy. In fact, yesterday was the first day. It's a 4-week accelerator where I help people go through the steps of creating very successful stellar events. My audience is coaches, entrepreneurs, course creators, anyone who wants to create an online presence and use events as a tool to promote their business, their brand, and their expertise. So my next digital event academy is in May, and people can sign up for the wait list. And then also I do have the Expat Woman Club, which you're a member of, which is not just for expats. Initially I started the Expat Woman and the Expat Woman Club for expats, but a lot of non-expat women join, and it's great because as expats we want to connect with people who are local to the country we are in, and everyone at some point has traveled abroad or wants to travel abroad or wants to live abroad. So it's not just expats, but it's a global community of dynamic, talented, professional women like you, Dominica. You are, an example of that. So the Expat Woman Club is another way people could be part of this amazing community of women who want to create an online presence, who want to promote their brand, who want to step into the spotlight and stand out and sell. And if
Thank
and when I say sell, it doesn't just mean selling a product or service. We all need to sell constantly, whether you're looking for a job, whether you're looking to be interviewed on podcasts, whether you're looking to promote your blogs or your book, you have to be selling. And selling means putting yourself out there and sharing your expertise and giving value to your audience.
you.
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So thank you very much again. So I will put the links with the show notes so people can go and check more information about the virtual academy and also about the Expat Woman Club. So please tell us, what are your learning points from this interview? What are you going to do to organize your virtual events? What mistakes maybe you made in the past. So share in the comments, and I will be back soon with another fantastic episode. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Naina.
Thank you.